class. Hey, this is Dr. Chosick. Welcome to Fresh Brew. Today, actually, I am drinking a little Starbucks, decaf, of course. But I wanted to just check in on this marijuana debate. So I've posted a few comments as I read through there, and it's always so interesting to do this activity. And your arguments were very articulate and had lots of good information in it. And so I just wanted to share with you a little bit of the results. I kind of went in and tabulated what everybody has posted so far, which I think we're pretty close to everyone. There might be a few lingerers out there, but we currently have 9 who is against legalization and 5 who is for. So, we can see we're not quite half, in the class who are for it. But it's really super interesting to read some of your comments. So I wanted to chime in on just a couple of things. I've done this exercise for a couple of years now, and well, actually probably more than a couple. But it really was interesting because to start with, before we had some states who had legalized marijuana, everybody was really against it. And now that we've had some states who have done this, legalizing it for medical reasons, then recreational reasons, the shift in attitude and perception has changed greatly, and more people are for it. And, sometimes I wonder, well, why is that? Where is kind of the evidence that's changed their opinions? And some of you have had a hard time, like, committing to one or the other, and I totally get that. I asked you to play devil's advocate because I wanted you to kind of wrestle with that, to see the other side and to see, well, what do I think about some of these things and can I make a case for it? Number one, you're going to get this question a lot, or this attitude maybe, or belief from your clients. And, they certainly, especially if someone is using it, abusing it, what have you, they're going to be for it. And so you really do have to kind of be able to be open to listening, to hear that point of view, and then I guess to make that person make their decision for themselves. So, however, as counselors, I think we should have a perspective on it that really takes into account how can we help people. And so many of you mentioned the science and policy debate that you watched, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at all these materials. It really does educate you and inform you. And so, I love Dr. Nora, some of her thoughts on this, that, being in the field and studying it, and, it's not just about revenue, it's about a lot of other things. And just because something is legal does not make it something that's good or something that's a good decision for people. We know that through alcohol, and we know that through tobacco, and we know that through all these other things that are legal that really do hurt us in the end. Alcohol's our biggest problem, and that's in the next module, by the way. Our most deadly drug and our most dangerous drug is the one that's legal. And just because it's legal doesn't mean that that we should just embrace it. So the other thing, I guess I wanted to play devil's advocate to the fore, I guess. I really struggle with this because even though there's lots of revenue generated, does that make it a socially best practice or policy? And so there is a report that comes out every year and on the legalization of marijuana in Colorado. And I'm particularly interested in this because legalization in Colorado has really impacted Nebraska, in the western part of Nebraska. And so all of the drugs kind of coming across the border there has made that a particular issue for people in western Nebraska, and that's where I grew up. So anyway, so here's some of the numbers. And this study is done by the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. And so they have been charged with tracking this stuff to see the impact of legalization. And here's just some interesting facts. So, impaired driving and fatalities in Colorado. The deaths have doubled since marijuana was legalized, from 55 deaths for marijuana up to 125 in this reporting period, and this is 2017, by the way. And then all marijuana-related traffic incidences have increased 66%. And during that same time period, all other traffic violations actually increased only 16%. So 66 to 16, huge. And some of you talked about I think it was Kevin had put in that the National Drug Survey on marijuana use that it had gone down for youth. But this survey actually for 14 and 15 said Colorado's youth, they ranked #1 in the nation for marijuana use. So I suppose, when you legalize it, that's what happens. The adults, however, had increased 71%. So that's like going way, way up. All right, emergency room visits. So when we get to healthcare, what's this doing? It said emergency room visits have increased 35%, directly related to marijuana. And then the number of hospitalizations just in general increased 72%. So that's going through the roof. Here's something that I thought was a little bit sad. Marijuana, like accidental exposure or ingestion, like to poison control, like for kiddos especially, that has increased 210%. So the calls that they're getting about kind of accidental ingestion and, especially for little kids worried about being poisoning. All right, now treatment. So we set aside some money supposedly for treatment. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Pam made a great point. Like, we don't see Anheuser-Busch writing the check for treatment, right? So they're not really spending that much on treatment. But if you think about, marijuana is not addictive, but nobody, really has any problems with marijuana. Here are the top 4 reasons for treatment admissions in Colorado. One was alcohol. Not a surprise. That's our biggest issue. Then marijuana is actually second. So it is not as harmless, I guess, as it would seem. Or people are affected by it and need treatment more than what we think. Then methamphetamine. So, that's a huge concern. That's actually lower than marijuana. And then heroin, which is, blowing up in our nation. That's the last one. So now here's an interesting little piece. Diversion by parcel. So this means where they're having problems from Colorado, sending out their drugs to other states where it's not legal. Seizures in the United States mail have increased 844% out of Colorado for marijuana. So it's not just staying in their state. They're actually, exporting it, I guess you would say. And then that really has hurt, I think, some other states and law enforcement, and that's what's happening in western Nebraska. There's no law enforcement to handle that issue. Okay, and the last one, the money argument. So crime has actually increased 11% since they have legalized marijuana. And crime in terms of, I think somebody said, other crimes get committed when people are using the substance. So that has actually increased. Crime has not gone down. But the tax revenue, even though it's a bunch of money, it's only 0.8% of Colorado's total statewide budget, with their revenue that they're getting in. So it's actually a very small portion. Although it's big, big dollar numbers compared to other things, it's extremely small. Okay, and as of June 2017, there was 491 retail marijuana stores, 392 Starbucks, and 208 McDonald's. So marijuana, it's a hot business. It is booming. So anyway, those are just some interesting statistics I thought about marijuana in terms of, we think it's, that it's generating all this income, but there's also an outflow with all those other social problems that are going on. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone, and we'll just, keep on the good fight. Who knows what'll happen? I guess time will tell whether this was a good decision or not. Now, moving on to our next module, we will be doing alcohol. There's quite a bit of information in there, as there is in all of them, right? And you will be doing a discussion board, looking at a couple case studies, and then I think a general reflection. So thanks, guys, for all your great participation on this online class. I love seeing your videos. Keep them coming if you're doing them. Maybe if you haven't tried it, give it a shot. And we will be seeing you on the flip side. Take care. Bye bye.